What's going on, people? You're watching GrayFoxPlay, and before we start, I'd like to give Salamander Man a shout out. Check out his channel. You can find it down here in the description. With that out the way, we're picking up where we left off with the Hunter request lists. In the first video we tackled lists 1 to 3, and today we'll be covering 4 and 5. So after mailing your last list, you'll be waiting 24 Red Dead hours before your payment and next list arrives at the postie. Once you have it, you'll see you need to hunt 1 songbird, 1 sparrow, 1 toad, 1 skunk, and 1 bullfrog. No idea what you're talking about, mate? Definitely wasn't me. Just northeast of Valentine is where we are going to be looking for our songbird. You tend to see them flying around in groups of around 4. So using small game arrows to take down more than one will give you a good chance of taking down one that has a perfect carcass. Remember, the 3 stars indicate that the bird is indeed a perfect specimen, and you can go ahead and take your shot. This area is also good for other types of birds, which you may want to take down also, as they have flight feathers, a key ingredient for small game arrows. Songbird check, and we're moving downriver. Just north of Annesburg, in search of a sparrow. Like the songbird, this is very small and sometimes difficult to see. But pay attention to the rocks, as this is where they tend to perch themselves. Getting too close will cause them to nope the fuck out of there, so keeping your distance and using your eagle eye is going to help you with this one. I see you, Mr. Moose. Actually, I think that is a lady moose. It's got no fucking horns. Lady moose. I see you, lady moose. All this fucking honest work is making me tired. I think I'm going to steal someone else's hunted animals instead of finding my own. Unfortunately, he didn't have anything I needed, but it's the thought that counts, right? Thank you, sir. Please accept this gift. Because that inconsiderate wanker hadn't hunted what we needed, we'll be heading here to track down some skunk. The Varmite rifle and a headshot is the way to go. As you can see in a second, I hit another skunk with a small game arrow, and it just laughed at me and called me a prick. I will say that getting the skunk wasn't a very good idea on my part. Of course, this is something you're going to be stowing to your horse, which means it will decompose if you take too long to find the bullfrog and toad. So if you are doing these, hunting the decomposable animal last is of course going to be the best strategy, but I don't need to tell you that because you're not stupid like I. Although stupid, I am very lucky, which I'm sure is what caused me to stumble across both the frog and toad in close proximity of one another. Again, this was a fluke, and hunting the decomposable animal last is still, of course, the best choice. So we have our 4th list done, and we'll be dropping it off at the post office and filling our 24 hours with crime fighting,
oh, thank you, mister. Here.
making new friends, and getting arrested. Only to be broken out by Jose. Until I get a notification saying I had mail to be collected. I made my way over there and was met by a note from Mrs. Hobbs. and the note reads, "I am delighted at the specimens you have been sending me. They are working wonderfully, and the exhibition is coming together. I am writing to let you know I will be travelling for a while to visit old friends who have moved to Oregon. Perhaps I will write when I have returned. Sincerely, Mrs. L. Hobbs, taxidermist." So I'm thinking, okay, must be a hiatus she takes before getting your final list. So I waited. And waited. And waited. And eventually it dawned on me that at the end of the mission, it has to be John that completes it. Something I should have remembered from the first time around. But, you know, that stupid thing from before. So by the magic of video editing, we're on with the final list, and you don't have to watch me go through the same ones, and thank fuck, because trust me, it bored me to tears. So here we go, calling on Big Bad Marston to get his ass over to the nearest post office and pick up the list. As you see, there are 2 animals already acquired, so I don't need to do them. I'm going to assume you don't either, so moving on. Just kidding, that would make for an even shittier video. First up, we're heading here, in search of a cedar waxwing. Like other small birds, they do fly around in groups, so taking out more than one is likely to ensure you get a perfect carcass from one of them. Again, this area is also good for other birds, so why not take some time to gather some flight feathers to keep you stocked up on small game arrows. Heading to Elijah Pool for hands down the easiest one for me, as when I turned up here, they were just on the floor, just already dead, pre-dead on the floor, ready for me to take, which was pretty easy. But if they don't, take a little venture into the cave and come back out, and they should spawn for you just before you leave the waterfall and just before you climb up onto the first little bit of rock. On my way out, wouldn't you know it, but I came across an unsuspecting crow that was just sitting on a rock outside. As this was one of the birds I needed, it was pretty lucky. With this being quite a common bird, you'll find it all over the map, and if you're trying to complete the same list as me, then you may even already have one in your satchel. If not, as I say, they are common, so you shouldn't have much of a problem coming across these. But if you do want an area to try, you could try this next one where we'll be looking for our blue jay. Just be careful in this area, as you'll come across a decent amount of predators, or rather they'll come across you, cougars, wolves, and the worst of all, the most ferocious, muskrats. Predators out the way. Oh, for fuck's sake. Predators out of the way, pay attention to the rocks. Not unlike we did with the sparrow, the blue jay also sits himself on top of them. Preferably take it out before it starts flying away, just a little more time to get a well placed shot with a small game arrow.
Good Lord.
Lastly, we need a perfect beaver. which we'll be heading here, near the legendary beaver if you're familiar with that. Now, as you might have noticed, neither of these beavers that I found in this location were 3-starers. So you will find beavers here, but of course it's potluck whether you get a perfect one or not. Considering we haven't, we're going to take a look at this other location to see if we can claim our 3-star there. Straight away there's beavers on deck as soon as you get there. Again, this isn't a 3-star, but if you're having this kind of problem too, something that helped me was setting up a camp right on the shore and sleeping. That can get them to spawn, but if all else fails, you can always try the old save and load. Once you come across the one you're looking for, give them a headshot with the Varmite, and providing the shot's on target, you'll maintain the perfect carcass. Make your way over to the post office and get them sent off before your beaver starts to smell and decompose.
I'll take anything you got for me.
Thank the postal clerk
This ends now.
and be on your way. Now, all we're waiting on is an invitation from Mrs. Hobbs. So, go make some friends, run some errands, whatever kills time.
Hey, what is this? You big-mouthed moron.
No
Just
need for
shut it.
Did not know!
Once you get your notification, grab the letter from the post office. Again, thank the clerk and try not to die in the process.
Well, whatever.
Once you've respawned / got your invitation, you can pull it out and it reads, "My dear, I am delighted. Absolutely delighted at the lovely friends you have sent me. Together we have made art. Life as art. I strive to make happiness frozen in time, and you have surely made me happy with the animals you have gathered. You must come and visit and see the world that we have made together. I will introduce you to Percival. I am sure you will love him. Do you play cards? My friends adore it. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm just northeast of Strawberry, between the town and Monto's Rest. Sincerely, Mrs. L. Hobbs." It of course comes up on the map, and when you arrive you'll be greeted by this old lady who shows you what she's been doing with the specimens you've been sending her.
Hello, Mrs. Hobbs.
Come meet my friends.
This is quite something.
It's my life work, dearie. An almighty struggle. And these two over here, oh, they're prize fighters. Obviously, there isn't any prize because they're both dead.
I don't quite know what to say.
Oh, I often get that reaction.
I'm sure.
Oh, here, please take this as a gift. Because after all, we did this together. You and I are both like God now, in a way.
Thanks. I should get going.
Yeah, well, maybe when you die, somebody will stuff you. And maybe heaven is just like this. Did you ever think of that, dearie?
No, I never did. Be well.
Hi.
After John leaves with what I'm sure was mixed feelings about the whole thing, you can make your way home to Beach's Hope,
You're dressed like an idiot.
where, after Abigail's done insulting your appearance, pretend it doesn't affect you and cry yourself to sleep later.
What is that?
It's art.
Oh. That's what they call it.
Now home, you're able to place the gift on the mantle for a conversation piece that makes it look like John has friends. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Have yourselves a great day, and as always,
You're dressed like an idiot.